everyone, and welcome back to another video. This is part 2 of my 4-part Coraline series where I talk about the Coraline movie, my thoughts on it, things that I have noticed, and topics of discussion that I really want to bring up. So in this video, I'm going to be talking all about the other mother. I'm going to be talking about everything that I noticed about her, everything that I think about her, who I think she is, who I think she was, whether or not she can see the future, whether or not she has control in the real world, and just everything having to do with her. For my art viewers, I am still going to be doing an art painting process in the background. This is another piece inspired by Coraline that I also did a long time ago and painted a long time ago as well. So while it is not reflective of my current artistic process, I hope you still enjoy, and I hope you still like the painting. So this is a piece inspired by Coraline, and actually I didn't notice this until much later after I had already finished this piece, but I was watching another Coraline theorizing video, and somebody described how the other mother looked in the book versus how she looks in the movie, and apparently in the book she has wispy, wavy, moving hair. I thought, oh my god, that's sort of like the second Coraline piece that I did. So yeah, that just turned out to be a funny coincidence. Okay, let's get into the video and into the theorizing. So I have quite a few things listed out here, and I've tried to put them in a sort of chronological order so it can make the most sense. But it's not exactly perfect, so I'm sorry about that. Anyways, let's get started. So I have a question about the other mother, and I think it's a very important question, and it tells a lot about her character. And I think I have it figured out, but again, this is just a theory. So the question is, why didn't she take Wybie's grandma? A lot of people think that the other mother, or the Beldam, is just an evil, malicious person or creature that will steal any living soul or entity that she can. But I questioned this on whether or not it was true, because some things didn't exactly add up if she was truly this kind of way. And one of those things is, why didn't she take Wybie's grandma? So if her entire goal was to really just suck the life out of anything that she could, then why wouldn't she try to lure Wybie's grandma as well? She was also a little girl who lived in the Pink Palace at the same time. And yet only her sister was ever taken. So how come after she took her sister, she didn't try to lure in Wybie's grandma? My theory on this is that maybe she's not as malicious as we think she is. The theorizer, I watched his compilation video of all of his Coraline theories, and in one of them he said, it's possible that the Beldam herself is a victim of the other world and only kills children because she has to, not because she wants to. And so I started to think about this, and I started to wonder, if that's the case, then who is she necessarily as a person? So I was thinking that if she's not as malicious as we really think that she is, if she's not truly heartless, then it would make sense that she would leave Wybie's grandma alone, because she already got her sustenance from her sister, which would make sense, because if she was truly an evil and gluttonous figure, then she would have no remorse or care for taking Wybie's grandma as well, but she didn't. The theorizer also said that maybe the reason the Beldam does this and keeps this up is because she knows that the next person who falls into this trap will have to take her place and become the new Beldam, essentially, and also have to kill people or children in order to sustain their life force and life energy, and she doesn't want to subject anybody else to that. It was something along those lines. I'm not quoting word for word here. I'm just recalling what I remember. And I agree with this. I think it's true, and I think this is the best evidence for why she didn't take YB's grandma. It's not because she couldn't, it's because she didn't want to. And it would also make sense if there were more children who lived in the Pink Palace between the years that the children we know are dead had been taken. Because considering that the Pink Palace is 150 years old, the amount of people who could have lived there and been there for only 3 children to have been killed seems like a little bit of a low number. So if there were other children that lived there that didn't end up getting taken, that would explain it. But again, this is just a complete theory. So something else I want to talk about is the gloves real quick. So the gloves are a bit of a hot debate within the Coraline movie about whether or not Coraline was in the real world or in the fake world the whole time. And I have some evidence to support that she really was in the real world when her and her mother Mel went shopping. So one of the points people make is that how did the beldam know Coraline wanted those gloves and have an outfit ready for her if the doll was never in town? So I'm going to answer this question. When they got home, Coraline mentioned the gloves while in the house. She mentioned them to her mom and was a little bit snarky about it. That could have been when the doll heard it, and in the time it took for Coraline to get the key, the beldam could have made her the outfit that Coraline then receives in the other world. Because just inferring on the conversation, you can take a guess at what Coraline wants. So I don't think she has an oversight of the town, and I also don't think that she was in the fake world all along either. I think that the doll heard the conversation that Coraline and her mom had before her mom left again to get food, and that's how the beldam knew to make her something new. So that's my theory on that part of the movie and what I think happened there. So the next thing I want to talk about is when the beldam put Coraline in the mirror, because I found that scene quite puzzling when it comes to the beldam's intentions of trying to endear Coraline. So my question was, why did the other mother put Coraline in the mirror when she had to have known that the other children would have told her everything? So my theory on this is that the beldam was done with trying to endear Coraline. Instead, she was going to use threats. So during the time that Coraline was in the mirror, I think that the beldam had kidnapped her parents and was planning on using them to keep her to stay. That could also be why we saw her coming down the stairs. Maybe she was coming from her study or sewing room that we see in the beginning of the film, after having just kidnapped Coraline's parents. Because to me that never made sense. Why would you put your next victim in a room with your other victims so they can tell her what's going to happen to her? So that's why I think she did it. I think she was done trying to be sweet and nice, and I think she was going to threaten her, but Coraline just managed to escape before she could. One of the theorizers' videos where he notices that in the mirror there's a painting of the Pink Palace that's in the daytime, and I think that has relevance to the beldam's backstory. I think that painting is from the real world, which means she had it done before she came to the other world. So then why is it there with her? I think she had the mice take it and bring it to her for sentimental reasons. I think she wanted it there with her to remind her of what she had in reality, and also maybe to keep as a reference point so she would never forget how much of a masterpiece her house was. because it was all made for her and tailored to her. Her face is even in the garden. So to answer a bit of the theorizer's video, that's why I think that painting is in the daytime, and that's how I think that it got there. Okay, so now I want to talk about the other mother as a person. I want to talk about the things that I've noticed about her and who I think she was, because I do think she was a human. And I do have evidence to support that theory. And also I want to address some other theories people have come up with around her that I don't personally believe, and why I don't believe them. So the other mother as a person, I think when she was a person, she was very narcissistic and self-centered, and I think she was a very self-serving person. So the evidence of narcissism that I have is the fact that her face is in the garden. I'd say that's pretty narcissistic of somebody. And evidence of self-serving is the line in the book. Even though I haven't read the book, I know a few lines and scenes from it. So the line in the book where she talks about how she swears on her mother's grave, and Coraline asks if she even has a mother, and she says something along the lines of, yes, and whenever she would crawl out of her grave, I would put her right back, which is really creepy, but I also think it shows that she's very self-serving, because it leads you to believe and think it's possible that she killed her own mom. For what reason, we don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was a selfish one. So then another theory I see people pose about the other mother is that she was a mother herself before she became the beldam. And I don't think this is true. I don't think she was ever a mother, because a lot of people say that the way she treats Coraline is representative, that she understands child psychology and that she knows how to take care of children and stuff like that. But I think something we have to recognize is that there's a big difference between parenting a child and just giving them whatever they want. And that's all she does, is she just gives Coraline whatever she wants and just tries to entertain her in every way possible with an abundance of just everything: entertainment, food, adventures. So she's not really parenting her, she's just giving her what she wants. So that's why I don't think she was a mother, because I don't think that's parenting, and I don't think that can be considered parenting. Because she even indulges her in the most peculiar ways, like the hot chocolate at breakfast, the mango milkshake, the cakes, like just everything that she gives her, again in relation to food, is not proper parenting. If you were to see a real parent constantly give their child junk foods and sweets and treats, you would not think that was good parenting. So that's just why I don't think she was a mom, and why I don't think she was ever a parent. That's just my opinion and my evidence for the subject. Quick side note here, the tapping of her fingers, because I noticed that this is something a lot of people wonder, like why she does this type of thing, and I wonder to myself. I don't have a correct answer. My best guess is that it's just to show her anticipation. So that's my quick little side note there. Something else I wanted to address was the other mother's mindset. I think she is delusional, because even after the jig is up and there is no salvaging that she can convince Coraline that she loves her and she wants the best for her and that this world is the perfect home, she still tries. She still tries at the end of the movie, when she's in her skeletal form, to tell Coraline that she loves her, that you know I love you, that like this is where you're supposed to be and you should stay here. Like, she knows she's been exposed, and she knows that Coraline can see her for what she is, but I think she lives in this delusion where she refuses to believe that. Because she still tries to endear Coraline even after she's taken her parents. When Coraline first gets there, she pretends to be Coraline's mother to get her through the door, and then proceeds to cook for her, as if things are completely normal. Even though she's in her more deteriorated form, she still tries to endear her with her cooking and telling her that she loves her. And at the end of the movie, when she's in her final form, she still tells Coraline that she loves her. So in these ways, I think that the other mother might be delusional and perhaps fall for her own lie, so maybe she can cope with what she's doing better, or maybe she just doesn't recognize the reality of the situation anymore. Not only that, but she still refers to herself as Coraline's mother, even as she's prying the door open to get Coraline to come back when Coraline's already made it in the tunnel and is trying to escape. So more evidence I have that she was once a person is, how else would she know about Zanzibar or Paris? Because she mentions these two places in the other world, and these are places in the real world. If she was an entity created and made in that pocket universe, how would she know about Paris and Zanzibar? She mentions Zanzibar when she brings up the chocolate beetles and asks Coraline if she wants one. And then she mentions Paris when Coraline comes back to the real world for the final time and says she doesn't know where her real parents are. Maybe they left her and went to Paris. So if she was something just created in this world, I don't think she would know about Zanzibar or Paris. But if she was a person and a real human and a high society kind of person, like how we think she is, then it's understandable why she would know about Zanzibar and Paris. This is another way that I think she's delusional, because she's also trying to convince herself that the world that she lives in is still like not something of her own making, that she's still a part of the world somehow. Something else I would like to talk about when it comes to the Beldam is the question of whether or not she can see the future. Because I've seen some people ask this question because of the sewing scene right at the start of the movie. And I don't think she can see the future. There is no indication that the scene at the beginning of the movie is long before Coraline was ever there. And I think what happened was that the mice told the Beldam about the new girl that had moved in, so she retrieved the doll, remade it, and then put it back. More evidence of this is that it takes a full day in the movie before Coraline ever receives this doll, and I think it takes actually even longer in the book before she finds the doll. So no, I don't think the Beldam can see the future. I think the mice just told her what was happening and what was going on. Okay, now for my last point in this video about the Beldam, which is the question of not really about her, but about the place she's in. And that is the other world a living thing, and is the Beldam just another victim of it? I think it is living, and I do think she is another victim. The way the other world is described in the book, mainly the tunnel, is as if it is a living, breathing entity. In the book, it talks about the tunnel being hot and wet and musty, as if it's like a throat. And I do think that the Beldam could actually just be another victim of this world. Clearly, it's something that consumes, because if it wasn't, then the Beldam would have retained her original human form. Instead, she's deteriorated over time, as if something has slowly been killing her. How I personally think about this thing being living would be that the house, the Pink Palace, is like its mouth, the tunnel that leads to the other world is like the throat, and then the other world itself, the pocket universe, is like its stomach. That's how I would think of it, if we're going, like, trying to make something anatomically correct here and thinking how it would consume something to begin with. But then thinking about it this way, the other world is really what's supposed to be feared here and not the beldam herself necessarily. Because it's this other world that is consuming and sucking in things from real life in order to sustain itself. It's like a leech or a parasite. And this is sort of how it behaves with the other mother as well. It forces her to kill children in order to sustain herself. Okay, so that's all there is for this video. That's all my notes on the other mother and everything that I think about her and all of my theories and assumptions having to do with her and her life. Although, to be honest, I'm sure a few more of them will pop up in the next 2 videos, but we'll see. So, yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please, like and subscribe, and if you have anything to say about anything that I said here, go ahead and leave it in the comments. Alright, I hope you all have a day full of wonder. Bye, everybody.